This is Ezekiel 38 and 10. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. I like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquath that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, the setup for the cyber attack. Okay, and I'm gonna give you I'm gonna show you a quick picture and read it, and then I'm gonna go into a video, and then I'll grab a couple scriptures. This is gonna be a quick one. All right, Lord willing, is straight to the point and edifying. All right, so it says Russia preparing to shut down Google, Android, Apple, and Samsung as security concerns by U.S. and Israel, right? Now, that's the picture right there, okay? You can read it for yourself. Again, Russia is planning to, all right, is preparing to shut down Google, Android, Apple, and Samsung as security concerns by U.S. and Israel. All right, now let me grab this video.
Major General Patrick Ryder confirmed that Russia likely launched a counter-space satellite into orbit.
Let's talk about how last week Russia launched an anti-satellite weapon potentially into the same altitude as an American satellite. Is this a concern? Can you confirm that information is presented at the United Nations? And what is the message, if you have a comment?
Yeah, so what I'm tracking here is on May 16th, as you highlight, Russia launched a satellite into low Earth orbit that we assess is likely a counter space weapon, presumably capable of attacking other satellites in low Earth orbit. Russia deployed this new counter space weapon into the same orbit as a U.S. government satellite, and so assessments further indicate characteristics resembling previously deployed counter space payloads from 2019 and 2022. And so, obviously that's something that we'll continue to monitor. Certainly, we would say that we have a responsibility to be ready to protect and defend the domain, the space domain, and ensure continuous and uninterrupted support to the joint and combined force. And we'll continue to balance the need to protect our interests in space with our desire to preserve a stable and sustainable space environment.
According to General Ryder, the satellite exhibited characteristics that were similar to other.
One second. Let me play that over my
into orbit.
Just in case you couldn't hear it as well. Because I don't know if it seemed like a little too low. Like I put the volume up, but it seemed lower than usual. So let me just play it through.
That Russia likely launched a counter space satellite into orbit.
Let's talk about how last week Russia launched an anti-satellite weapon potentially into the same altitude as an American satellite. Is this a concern? Can you confirm that information is presented at the United Nations? And what is the message? If you have a comment.
Yeah, so what I'm tracking here is on May 16th, as you highlight, Russia launched a satellite into low Earth orbit that we assess is likely a counter space weapon, presumably capable of attacking other satellites in low Earth orbit. Russia deployed this new counter space weapon into the same orbit as a U.S. government satellite, and so assessments further indicate characteristics resembling previously deployed counter space payloads from 2019 and 2022. And so, obviously that's something that we'll continue to monitor. Certainly, we would say that we have a responsibility to be ready to protect and defend the domain, the space domain, and ensure continuous and uninterrupted support to the joint and combined force.
and we'll continue to balance the need to protect our interests in space with our desire to preserve a stable and sustainable space environment.
According to General Ryder, the satellite exhibited characteristics that were similar to other counter space satellites that were launched into space in 2019 and 2022. He didn't give any specific details about whatever the payload was. And then when he was asked if it posed a threat to the United States, he said, well,
It poses a threat to that government satellite, U.S. government satellite right now.
Well, it's a counter space weapon in the same orbit as a U.S. government satellite. So,
Major General Patrick Ryder confirmed that Russia likely launched.
So you already know what time it is, man. All right. And real quick, did a little Google research, okay? Because remember, these devils won't even tell you right straight to the point what it means. They'll try to give you these, scientific answers or, military answer, at the end of the day, is letting you know what time it is, okay? So I brought up a question I asked. I said, is a kinetic attack, okay, a cyber attack? All right. And it says, yes, a cyber kinetic attack is a type of cyber attack, specifically a subset that causes direct or indirect physical damage, injury, or death through the exploitation of vulnerable information systems and processes. Unlike traditional cyber attacks that might steal data, a cyberkinetic attack translates digital intrusion into real-world physical consequences, such as causing a power grid to fail or a connected vehicle to crash. Okay. It also says, yeah, pretty much said the same thing there. All right, that was one of the questions I asked. All right. Then I also asked a counter satellite cyber attack. What is a counter satellite? All right, when you go into the counter satellite, all right, it says a counter satellite is not a specific type of satellite, but rather a system or capability used to attack, disrupt, or defend against other nations' satellites. All right, so here it is that Russia put this into our orbit space, right? So that means that they're planning on knocking out our satellites for a reason, you see, to the point where it's not so much that they're going to steal data, but they're actually going to knock out our satellites to destroy them. All right. And if they destroy our satellites, well, then there goes our whole entire internet. You see, there goes anything that's connected to these satellites. OK, it says these capabilities can be offensive. All right. Aiming to deny an adversary to use the use of space, or defensive intended to protect one's own space assets. They can include electronic warfare systems for jamming, directed energy weapons, cyber attacks, or kinetic weapons, okay, that physically destroy a satellite or its ground infrastructure. You see, putting all these things together, you just got to use it, man. This is what's coming to America, all right? It says types of counter space capabilities, electronic warfare, okay? It says electronic warfare, Slovakia. Electronic warfare, non-kinetic measures that use the electromagnetic spectrum to jam or spoof satellite signals like GPS or communication links. You see, these are all the different troubles that's about to come to America, man. Like literally everything's about to be shut down, okay? Directed energy weapons, high-powered lasers or microwaves that can temporarily blind or permanently damage a satellite's optical sensors or solar arrays. And you got cyber warfare, interfering with the satellite's computer network to disrupt or deny its ability to process or transmit data. So these are the different types of capabilities that this counter space satellite has, man, that they just launched into the skies. All right. And this is Putin already had. That's why I read Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right. Because the Lord is going to give Putin that evil thought. OK, And all these other nations that are sitting around about ready to go to war with America, all of this is going to be connected all in one, you see. Now, I had put just, you know, I kept asking different little questions. I said, is a counter satellite used for cyber attack? All right. And it said, no, a counter satellite is not directly used for cyber attacks. Rather, cyber attacks are a type of threat against satellites, and countermeasures are used to defend against them. A counter satellite capability is a military term for systems designed to disable and destroy enemy satellites. So regardless, it's going to be a cyber attack regardless at the end of the day. Because see, this is when we thinking of a cyber attack, we're thinking of just stealing data, you know, and just cutting off the lights, and you can basically turn the lights back on, okay, with an actual regular cyber attack. But see, with this counter cyber attack, it's going to destroy these satellites. There ain't gonna be turning back from that shit. You see, most likely if we get hit in a certain manner, all right, it's gonna pretty much destroy every single one of the satellites that we have. All right, and we might not possibly see lights turn back on, you know, data come back on. All right, but I'm sure these devils got some type of you know, things up their sleeve. All right, because at the end of the day, we have to be connected to something, all right, in order for them to bring this micro C-HIP, you see. So, but then again, you know, as I've said in many videos before, you know, we ourselves are a Wi-Fi. You know, we ourselves are a Wi-Fi, and we can generate energy just like a computer, you know, with our minds, with you know, the neurotransmitters in our brain, you know. So who the hell knows how this devil's got this planned out? All right. All we can do is just continually sit back and watch. All right. But that cyber attack is definitely about to come. All right. However manner they come with it, all right, it's definitely coming. They're about to knock these lights out. All right. So it says a counter satellite capability is a military term for systems designed to disable or destroy enemy satellites, often through kinetic often through kinetic or electronic means. And that's why I looked up before what a kinetic what if a kinetic attack is a cyber attack, and it basically said yes, a cyber kinetic attack is a type of cyber attack. It's just a different type. You see, it's not so much of taking away data, but it can actually physically damage, injure, or even bring death through exploitation of vulnerable information systems or processes. You see, so it said, going back, it said often through kinetic or electronic means, which is distinct from a cyber attack. However, satellites can be targets of cyber attacks, and countries are developing both offensive cyber capabilities against satellites and defenses, countermeasures to protect them. Okay, cyber threats to satellites. You got attack vectors. Cyber attacks can target satellites through their ground stations, connected networks, or even via vulnerabilities in off-the-shelf components used in their construction. Impact: a successful cyber attack can lead to data theft, long outages. Ooh, it's going to be long outages, or the permanent loss of the satellite. You see, this is how they're going to be able to knock out all your information. All right, pretty much knock out your banking information, your banking, all the money you got in your banks. Okay, and then this is much easier for them to just give you a new solution, you know, under a whole new system. Because remember, they're coming with that NWO. So everything that we have right now is pretty much of the old world order, you see? And they're trying to bring in this new one. So it probably most likely is going to require new different types of systems anyway. You see, new satellites and everything. All right. Now, it says impact. Oh, I just read that, Salakia. Actually, no, I didn't read that. Impact: a successful cyber, although I did read, could lead to data theft, long outages, and a permanent loss of satellite. Hackers could also use a compromised satellite to launch further attacks against other systems. Okay, you got increasing risk as military and commercial operations rely more heavily on satellites, protecting them from cyber threats is becoming increasingly, damn, I cut it off right there. Yeah, I cut that part off. And that was the last one I had too. All right. But it says it's increasing a lot of risk. Okay. As the military and commercial operations rely more heavily on these satellites. Okay. So, hey, man, let me go back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right, man, this is about to come. This is about to go down. Ezekiel 38 and 10, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Okay, NLT says, this is what the sovereign Lord Yahweh says, at that time evil thoughts will come to your mind, and you will devise a wicked scheme. All right, back to KJV 11, it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up into the land of the unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. All right. So, you know, the Lord's going to put, all right, into Putin, into Russia, okay, an evil thought. All right. And we know this is going into what, World War III at the end of the day. All right. That's what that's going to be the main thought, evil thought that the Lord's going to give. All right. Putin. All right. But see, these are all different types of schemes and different ways to attack America, to destroy their infrastructures, man, to destroy their defense systems. So even though it's talking about going into the unwalled villages, all right, and by the way of World War III, you know, in these thermonuclear missiles, all right, when they knock out these satellites, these are going to be also defense systems that America has, all right, and now they're going to be hella defenseless, you see, because they ain't going to be able to track down data. They ain't going to be able to track down when the enemy comes, you know, to make their move, all right, because everything's going to be down, you see, because unwalled villages really goes into a place that has no protection, you see. So, you know, even though we got America in all these different wars and they don't got all their troops over here, which already makes this place an unwalled village with no protection, all right, you got to look at the space stations that they have too. You see, you got to see the defense systems that they have. They pretty much are going to be, their defense systems are going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Disarmed. Okay. So that also makes them, you know, unwalled, you see, with no protection. All right. Not just through the villages, not through the states and these different, parts of the country, all right, but even in airspace, man, all right, and all these nations, all right, have some type of airspace that they do, okay. As a matter of fact, now that I say that, it makes me think of Obadiah, okay, because what did the Lord say? All right, though thy set thy let's grab that, Obadiah 1 and 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, though thy set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh. You see? So them setting their nest in the stars represents them having their space stations out there. You see? But the Lord said he gonna bring them down. Okay? He's gonna bring every single one of them down. All right. As a matter of fact, you also got in Ezekiel, Isaiah 34. Okay. Let's grab that. All right. Point is, I want the point 7. All right, at 7, verse 7, it says, but let me grab it from, I'll just grab it straight to the point. It says, and the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their lambs shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. Okay, so going into these unicorns, all right, we know that unicorns represent what? Represent the satellite dishes, man. So in Isaiah the 34th chapter, speaking about when the missiles come to take basically hit the land. All right, this is because in the beginning it says what? It says, come near ye nations to hear and hearken ye people, let the earth hear and all that and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He has utterly destroyed them. He has delivered them to the slaughter. You see, and that's talking about all these nations coming round about, all right, to gather themselves to the battle. Okay, and the Lord's going to destroy all these armies. All right, but when you go further down, okay, which it keeps speaking about, you know, judgment coming against Idumea. All right, for the sword shall be bathed in heaven. You know, that's going into these missiles. Okay, and then it speaks about the scroll. All right, that there's going to be that the heavens are going to create a scroll, which is basically that mushroom cloud from the missiles itself. You know, but when you go to the 7th verse, it says, "And the unicorns shall come down with them." All right, just imagine, you know, all this warfare going on, all these different missiles. Okay, these satellite dishes is going to be destroyed at the same time, man. All right, so you got Putin already having these different schemes, all right, on how to disarm America so they can be so weak. All right, and now, you know, as the scriptures say, let the weak say that I am strong, because now they have all these different nations that have military power, you know, thermonuclear missiles. Now nobody but all these other nations have actual defense systems of nuclear power. All right, not just America like it was back in the day. Okay, so as you see these other nations that were weak becoming more strong, all right, and being allied together to take over and destroy America, which was once the powerhouse, is actually being weakened little by little. You see, they are going to be disarmed in many different ways. Okay, because it's prophecy that America is going to be hit with 200 million missiles. Okay, and in order for that to happen, the defense systems have to be down. You see, and even if they weren't down, it wouldn't be able to, you know, stop the wrath of the Lord, because the missiles, the 200 million missiles that's going to hit America, the Lord's spirit is going to be in each and one of them. You see, that's why when you go into Joel, it speaks about how they should not break their ranks. Okay, they're going to go to wherever they need to go at the end of the day. All right, so through the spirit, you can see that the Lord is disarming America, man, and preparing it for what's to come. All right, many great miseries is going to happen to America, Babylon the Great, for walking in great pride in those days, man. All right, and that cyber attack is one of them. Okay, let's grab this real quick. This is Isaiah. This is Isaiah. Give me a second. Come on. What's going on here? This is Isaiah 60:2, and it says, "And behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." Okay, so darkness is going to cover the whole earth. All right, gross darkness meaning the ignorance of the people. All right, let's grab this. This is 2nd Ezra's. This is 2nd Ezra's. Salakia. This is 2nd Ezra's 15. And let's grab it from 11. It says, "But I will bring them." Let me grab it up to 10, actually. It says, "Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt." All right, which that's talking about Babylon the Great, America. "But I will bring them with a mighty hand, and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt," all right, and smite America, basically, "with plagues as before." Okay, so the same way plagues were brought to Egypt in the ancient world, all right, these plagues are going to come upon America also, because spiritually we are Sodom and Egypt. Okay, so one of the plagues that was done in that time was that the earth was covered with complete darkness, you know, for 3 days straight. All right, and we'll grab that, and I'll end it off on that. And it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. Okay, this is Exodus, I believe it's 12th chapter. This is Exodus. Hold on, I believe I'm passing it. One second, Salakia. Salakia was in the 10th chapter. This is Exodus 10. All right, and grabbing it from 15, and it says, for they covered, actually, I think it goes down more. Yeah, this is 22, and it says 21, 20, but the Lord Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Okay, so imagine how dark that was, man. Dark to the point where, see, when you're put in darkness, right, and lights are cut off, your eyes have an actual how can I explain it? They go into like almost a night vision, all right, where your pupils get like small, but they actually create its own light for you to kind of see in the darkness. Okay, I don't know if y'all understand what I'm trying to say, all right, but your eyes just get to a certain your eyeballs just go into a certain type of lighting in the dark, and you know, even though it's dark, you can still see in front of you a little bit, you know. So that time when the darkness came, it was dark to the point where they can actually feel the darkness. They couldn't even see in front of them, all right, because it says that in the scriptures, all right. It says I think there's another part where it explains it, and it might be let me see if it's in here real quick. In Psalm 78, all right, but basically to the point where they couldn't even see in front of them, all right, when they were walking. So those eyes wasn't working the way they normally do. All right, let me see if it's in the 78th chapter of Psalms real quick. Give me that. All right. Peace, locust, darkness. If it's not in there, it might be, I want to say, in Wisdom of Solomon, possibly the 13th chapter. Just give me 1 second, because I pretty much made the point. Just still want to make sure. All right, it's not in there. All right, let me go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 13th chapter real quick. All right. Actually, it's not the 13th chapter. It's hold on. Give me 1 second. Vivid Apparitions, KJV. Oh, 17th chapter in Wisdom of Solomon.
The King James Version uses vivid apparitions in the Apocrypha.
All right, thank
like
you.
in Wisdom 17:3
I appreciate
to
it.
describe
Thank you.
frightening.
All right. Because this chapter explains in that time what they were going through when the Egyptians was trying to bring out all these different type of witchcraft and sorcery, but the Lord came back with it. All right, it brought them illusions of magic. All right, and they brought vivid apparitions upon them, man, and they were troubled. They had terrors and troubles over it. All right, but let me see. Yeah, no, I don't think it's in here neither. Okay, hold on, maybe right here. The last, let me see. It says the last part says, "For the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Over them only was spread a over them only was spread a heavy night, an image of that darkness which should afterward receive them. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness." All right, nah, that's speaking about how the wicked things they saw. All right, but that's all right. But point is that, they weren't able to see, okay, in front of them in that time. All right, so it's going to be the same thing in this time, man. All right, the Lord, when he casts out that darkness, all right, come on. Oh, my phone tripping right now. Really tripping. Going back to Exodus, the 10th chapter. I'll just read that part one more time and end it. All right. So it said 20, verse 21. It said that, "And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, and that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt." All right. So basically, it was so thick, that dark, that, man. Okay. And to the point where you couldn't even see in front of you. So imagine in these times, man. All right, having everything that's powered by either solar power or some type of electronic or electricity, okay, being cut off. All right, everything here is going to be so dark. All right, and the only thing that's going to be able to shine in that darkness is going to be you having the light of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You see, as the scriptures say, that the light of Yahweh Shai is the lamp to our feet, basically. So when these satellites get cut off, man, it's gonna be heavy darkness out here, man, and gross darkness to people. All right, people gonna really bug out. That's gonna be the time that the Lord brings out vivid apparitions. The Lord's gonna bring out, a lot of demons into these people to do a lot of wicked things in the dark. All right. So it says, "And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one." Oh, there you go. Salakia, I should have read right into it. All right, 23. It says, "They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days." You see, they couldn't even see right in front of them, man. See, because again, when you go into a room and you turn off all the lights, your eyes get into a certain type of, light itself. That you can still see somebody, in the darkness. You can still feel them, all right, next to you without actually physically touching them. But see, in that time, they couldn't actually see these people in front of them, man. Imagine how much more here. Remember, the Lord says it's going to be a time that has never been seen under the whole heaven. All right. So the darkness back in those times, all right, is not even going to be compared to the darkness of this time. All right. Especially that this is going to be the last time the Lord really brings, heavy judgment upon this place, man. So he's going to bring it as a never before seen judgment. Okay. It says, "They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings." Okay. And having that light was truly having Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, I'll end it with that precept. This is 1 Thessalonians 5 and 5. It says, ye are the children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. All right. For they that sleep in the night and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation. For Yahweh has not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also you do. All right. So, you know, that's the comfort that we have in this place, man. Knowing when these things happen, we're not going to have the spirit of fear, all right, but have the spirit of a sound mind to be able to continue to believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai and call upon him, man. All right. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous man runneth into it is safe. You see, so we ain't going to worry about these times when the lights get cut off, man. All right. The Lord is going to be our light. All right. So with that being said, Lord willing, you will edify Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Hakim and the Aqua that was listening in, Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that you were edified. So with that being said, Shalom, keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.